Welcome back to Dmac Mad Gaming. I'm your host Dmac, and here we believe gaming is a lifestyle, not a hobby. Welcome back, guys. And today I want to talk about The Last of Us Part 2. There's been a lot of news about The Last of Us Part 2 in the gaming community lately. A lot of articles, a lot of videos been done about it. And the State of Play revealed that we'll be getting The Last of Us Part 2 February 21st, 2020, which I'm super excited about. But like the title of this video, I have concerns about The Last of Us Part 2. In this video, I'm going to kind of express what my concerns are. And my concerns are the same concerns a lot of people in the gaming community have about this game. But for you really understand it, you have to understand why why The Last of Us is such an important game to a lot of people in the gaming community. Now, The Last of Us came out in 2013, and what made that game so amazing and so heart-wrenching and so beloved and made the characters so beloved is the dynamic between Ellie and Joel and what they had to do and what they had to face and obstacles they had to overcome. On top of that, the pacing of it was done really well, where they was able to keep up the pacing, keep it so balanced that it just told an amazing story because of the pacing and kept you engaged, kept you immersed within the narrative, kept you grounded in the game. The only thing that people complained about with The Last of Us was the actual combat, where it was kind of clunky. There's a lot of stealth and a lot of gunplay and things like that. But it was a phenomenal game. The gameplay was done really well, where that little clunkiness was something that you could just write off. It wasn't really um, groundbreaking, where it took you out of immersion of the game. I mean, it was a phenomenal game. It's the game of the year. And from what we heard from the State of Play, if you have never played The Last of Us, get your PlayStation membership for October to get your hands on the Last of Us Remaster. You have the full game and the DLC, and that way you can understand why so many people love this game and love these characters. I recommend grabbing the PlayStation Plus membership. If you never had one, you can get a free trial, and you can play The Last of Us and understand why the game is so beloved by so many in the gaming community. And why people are so concerned about it, because we've been seeing a lot of trailers. There's been a lot of talk going on with the developers of Naughty Dog Studios about The Last of Us Part 2. And a lot of people was wondering whether they'd be able to make another game just as great as the first one. Because, a lot of times when developers make a great game, the second one is far from what made the original so amazing. And a lot of people really scared that they're going to mess up this awesome game and kind of deviate from who these characters were in the first one. So a lot of people was really worried about that. We've seen some gameplay elements in the last couple of years and some trailers, and the trailers are really emphasizing on Ellie and her love interest, who is, we now know his name is Dena. I think I'm saying that right. And they have this real chemistry with each other. And a lot of people are okay with the whole sexual orientation. I mean, it was established in the first game that Ellie was a lesbian at a young age, and now she's a teenager in a settlement. So we can understand that. That's part of the narrative. That's part of the lore. So it's not something that they just threw in there. It was already part of the narrative. So a lot of game community are not really upset about that. What they're concerned about is the whole plot of the game. Is the whole narrative going to be about her and this girl? And from the interviews that Naughty Dog Studios after the State of Play, they did some interviews with Sony, PlayStation, Sony journalists and things like that, and they got to ask some important questions. What is the whole narrative about? And Dina is a big part of the narrative. But on top of that, Joel is as well. And a lot of people in the gaming community are excited about that because Joel is a beloved character. And the dynamics between Ellie and Joel in the first one was so intense and so amazing, so gut-wrenching and heartwarming that you wanted him to come back in part 2, which he is. And he's going to be a big part of part 2 as well. So that kind of put us at ease, but we're still worried about this whole narrative because from what Naughty Dog Studios says, I'll leave a link to the trailer I'm talking about in this video and an interview that Naughty Dog Studios did with Sony to kind of give you more information about what I'm talking about, to give you understand exactly what my concerns are. My concerns are because it's a revenge story from what Naughty Dog Studios say. It's a revenge story about Ellie getting justice for those who she loved and how she felt like they were wrong and did wrong and hurt and maybe even killed. They wasn't very transparent with that. They didn't go into details to who got hurt, did anyone get killed, who was these individuals, and why she felt like she needed to go out and take revenge. And that's what kind of worries a lot of us in the game community, because we don't want them to deviate from what made The Last of Us so impactful and interesting. One was the pacing of the game. Two was the dynamics between Ellie and Joe. These two individuals that are not related come together to go on the journey to do something very important. I'm not going to spoil it for you if you have never played it. And they experience so many traumatic things together, and that's what made the story so impactful. And we just wonder if they're going to be able to bring that same kind of chemistry with this new character and Job in another game, which is part 2, which a lot of us is nervous about. I'm very nervous. And I was always nervous about the gameplay element, but after they released the trailer and did the interview, they released some actual gameplay to the journalists in the gaming industry. So I had to make sure I kind of listened to some of these videos to figure out what they were saying and how they feel about it. And from what they said, it feels like a Last of Us. And what a Last of Us game feels like is stealth, gunplay, and action. And they say it feels just like a Last of Us game. So you got a lot of stealth, you got a lot of gunplay. But on top of it, they said that they improved upon it. They improved upon the stealth. They improved upon the gameplay. Ellie now has the ability to run. In certain situations, if it's getting too intense, you can run away. You can hide. You can lay in grass. She can jump. She can run. She can traverse onto buildings and things to use that to her advantage in gameplay. They added some more gameplay elements to the game that they didn't have in the first, which will give you more options in actual gameplay when it comes to playing a game and dealing with enemies and things like that. And on top of that, they have boss fights. Now, if you never played the Last of Us game, you know in The Last of Us, you didn't have any boss fights at all, and you didn't have any ability to run away from your enemies or jump onto things. Usually, all you could do was move objects to the wall and use that to climb up to higher levels. And this Ellie is a lot more ability, more mobility, and she's able to move and jump and run from one point to another, giving her a little bit more freedom and traversal, which is awesome. She has a little bit more mobility than in the first one, which is awesome. I'm sorry about that. I got tongue-tied for a second, but that's awesome. And a lot of people feel like that's cool. That's really cool. And they got some new enemies, some new infected that you got to deal with, and boss fights, which you didn't have in the first one. And that sounds all great. But see, that's something that a lot of us in the game community that love this series, The Last of Us, is afraid of. That the first game was so amazing, and the basic game structure of it was so done so well that they hope that Naughty Dog Studios take that same framework and implement it to The Last of Us Part 2 and build upon it. Now, Naughty Dog Studios told us that that's what they did. They kept that same formula and just improved upon it. They want to tell a more grander story. And a lot of us wonder, how can you tell a more grander story, a bigger story in scope, when you're using one of the oldest tropes, the revenge story. But they say revenge and justice. So we don't know what that revenge and justice is all about. A lot of us game community think it's about Dena and maybe Joe. Maybe something happens to them or makes her lose it. Or maybe she loses both of them, or she loses more than just her girlfriend. She loses more people in the settlement. We don't know exactly what makes her want to get revenge and what she feel like she needs to get justice for them. They're not being very transparent with that. And I guess we have to just wait and see. But a lot of us speculate that it's about her girlfriend, Dena. And how they set it up with her kind of puts me at ease a little bit as well, because it's not something that just happened. They've been friends for a long time living in the settlement, and they were just good friends, and they start flirting and having feelings for each other, which is cool. Give me some type of backstory that lets me know who these two individuals are and why they have so much chemistry together. So Naughty Dog Studios is doing it. And that's why I'm kind of trying to be a little optimistic about it, because Naughty Dog does a great story. They always give you backstory to who these characters are, and they have complex characters with a lot of emotions and a lot of drama and baggage that make them interesting and relatable. So they're doing that with this, which is exciting and helps me kind of be at ease a little bit. But I still have my concerns, and that concerns is this whole revenge justice thing. And a lot of people in the game community feel the same way, that they don't do this right. It could totally destroy this game completely, and we're afraid for that because these are beloved characters. And I'm not being over dramatic. I'm not going like, oh, they destroyed the narrative that they had from the first one. Boo hoo, Dmac, who cares? No, what I mean is this game can be a great series. It can be told in multiple different ways, and they need to keep the narrative that they established in the first one going and just build upon it. They need to keep that same narrative and that same dynamics they had in the first one and bringing it over to the second one and just add more characters to that dynamic to keep us invested. Let us be familiar with who we're playing with. Introduce us to new people and show us how they've grown over the past couple of years. We need that. But we need to recognize who these characters are. And sometimes when game developers do a sequel to a game, they kind of change the character altogether, and a lot of fans get upset with that. Like a lot of people's upset about Kratos before they got their hands on it. So we're trying to be optimistic, and we're trying to give Naughty Dog Studios the benefit of the doubt, which I will because they have always told great narratives. I'm just wondering if they're gonna be able to keep it up with this one because this one's supposed to be bigger in a grand scale than The Last of Us. So it must gonna have a lot more gameplay, a lot more story to tell. It's gonna be a big project. They say that they've been doing with this game. So it has to be a little bit longer than the first one. It has to have a little bit more dynamics to it and a little bit more action impact. And they say it's supposed to be bloody and violent, which we'll see in the gameplay where it does look like that. So I'd like to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you excited about it? Can't wait to get your hands on it? Are you a big fan of Naughty Dog Studios and The Last of Us and Elle and Jolie? Joe and Ellie. Are you kind of concerned about this new dynamic they're adding with this new character? Do you feel like a revenge justice story is such an old trope that it's something that you don't want to see anymore? I'd love to know all you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for staying to the end video. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button, helps out the channel. Make sure you share, helps out as well. If you haven't become a subscriber to Dmac Mad Gaming, hit that smash button and notification bell to become a member and become a Mad Gamer. And as always, stay safe, keep gaming. I'll talk to you later.